Hey everybody, welcome to San Pedro. My name's Badfish. If you're new to my channel, San Pedro is my current ongoing city skyline series, so welcome. Today, guys, we got a special episode as last night reports began coming out from the San Pedro news outlets of a bright streak in the sky and a loud crash somewhere up in the mountains. The authorities investigated but said that nothing seemed awry. However, it did precipitate the building of quite a large military installation in San Pedro proper, which we will be getting to. So something crashed up in those mountains and we don't know what it is. So we're going to start building out ourselves a little military base just to make sure the people of San Pedro feel safe. So here we go. We're just doing it in a big blank piece of the map, pretty far away from the main piece of the city. And we're just going to go ahead and get started with a pretty simple layout, honestly, for the base. It's not going to be anything crazy. It's going to be very uniform, very Spartan, as you would expect a military base to be. So just getting started, I'm just getting the kind of base layout of the security done. So I wanted to have it all fenced in and all that good stuff before I started building out the base itself. I like kind of having my space delineated for me. And I like building secure things. I don't know if it's from all my time playing like RimWorld and Prison Architect and Dwarf Fortress. I like making sure that I got all my security set up. So we're just doing a double fence here. So the main base is going to be within that second fence, but the first fence is just more for creating a perimeter. And now we're just kind of creating a nice secure entrance here with a gate and some guard posts. I was going to use these big guard posts throughout, but they have concrete that comes with them, and I didn't feel like messing around with surface painter for that long. So we put in these smaller guard posts. And now we're just using walking paths to kind of paint in the fence a little bit more. So when you scroll out, you can still see that there's a perimeter to this place, because sometimes the chain link fences just kind of disappear a little bit for better or worse. But I think it all looks good, and we're going to go ahead and paint in that second fence as well. So we got a lot of towers, a lot of security. In my head, this is a Area 51-ish kind of deal going on here. So the base is not entirely what it seems. It's going to look pretty simple, like I said, pretty Spartan from the outside, but maybe there's a lot more going on underground. So that's why we got some pretty intense security measures going through with all the fences and guards with M16s and stuff like that. So you will notice I am using, well, the keen eye of you will notice I am using UN soldiers. Those were the best guards I could find. I couldn't find any American soldiers on the workshop that I really liked. So I just went with the UN soldiers. So this is an international effort to curb the spread of aliens, or at least that's what we think crashed up there. We don't know, but that's the idea behind it. So just going ahead and putting in some more like foliage and shrubbery around this entryway, and I am going to go ahead and do a whole bunch of landscaping that I'm going to cut off camera there, just because I didn't want to make you guys watch me place that many trees. And we switched it over to a national road rather than a 2-lane. I just realized I actually did want some pavement going through here. I didn't want it to all be dirt, so you're going to see me place down a bunch of dirt roads and change them to pavement, as I realize that's just not going to work. So what we're building here is the first part of our little base here. So this is just a little residential area for, you know, maybe the researchers or the guardsmen that actually live and stay on this base. So in my idea, there's people that come in and out, so I made some temporary barracks and housing you'll see in a little bit, and then there's people who live here full time, and that's what these guys are. So they got their little area of residential area in the base. And then just using these big hangars just to kind of delineate space a little bit. I mean, when you look at a military base, certainly a United States military base, unless it's like a very special one, they're usually pretty simple. You know, they have these big hangars, they got some tents going around. Certainly field bases are more simple than, you know, like actual forts and stuff inside America. But I kept this one pretty easy, just putting down some hangars. And then this is where I wanted kind of like a little shipping / receiving area, so we put some helipads over there. We're gonna have a bunch of different parking for the different military props and trucks and personnel carriers that I picked up a lot of Humvees and stuff too. And then on the right side, you saw me just put down some crates that are actually you know, meant for like a military storage area. So they got the camo, they got the olive drab color going on. And that's just kind of this space right here, and we're gonna just put some trailers down. and then add in a little bit more to the loading area itself by putting in like a crane and some workers and stuff like that. And then you just saw me put down another little no trespassing sign. So maybe, you know, to get into the storage area, you need separate clearance than getting in just to the main base. So again, just putting down some workers and stuff. And I think this kind of plays along with my idea that this might be bigger than it seems, this base, because this is a lot of shipping and receiving for a very small base that just has a couple of hangars. So you know, just kind of adding those little bits of headcanon to the build helps me when I'm building. It makes it a little bit more fun for me. And this adds to it as well. I added these giant fuel tanks, which again look a little bit out of place because they're a little bit too big for what this base is by itself. But again, if there's something going on underneath the surface, you're gonna need all that gas. So just putting these big fuel tanks on the side here, and right here is where we're gonna start doing like our temporary barracks. So I have these cool little military tents. We're just gonna do sets of 3 and then put them in rows there. And then on the end here, we're gonna have our little hospitality / medic tents, just in case anyone got injured on base, or you know, maybe some of them are small mess halls, who knows, and they just have the Red Cross on them. Again, you know, I'm just working with the props I have. I don't expect anyone who is former military to look at this and be like, wow, that's a very realistic military base. I'm just working with the props I have to have some fun and make something kind of cool and add a little bit of a sci-fi backstory to my town. So just putting in some flags here. I did add the California flag as well. And then this is part of our research center. So we have these cool little like research hangars / bays that I wanted to use. And on the side here, I use these in our observatory, but I wanted these telescopic dishes just to kind of go with like the sci-fi space theme. You know, maybe after they uncovered that crash site, they started looking to the stars and seeing what was up there. So that's why we got these big telescopic dishes, and then a couple more hangars on the end here. And then right in front of those science hangars, those research hangars, I realized I wanted this to be more of a self-sufficient base. So I put down a nice little solar array there, so that way they generate their own power as well. So if there's ever a power outage or anything like that, they don't got to worry about it. And then I'm just blocking everything in with some more shrubbery and landscaping. And then on the end here, this is where we are going to start building our alien crash site. So I just put a dirt road going straight up into the mountains, so no one lives up there, nothing's happened up there. This road was just literally made by the stream of military vehicles that just ran up this mountain to go check out whatever crashed there. So we're putting a big blockade right here. No one's getting up this trail, using some of the police as well as the military to kind of make it a secure checkpoint, and well, not a checkpoint because you can't go through that, and then just putting in some more trees and stuff there. I cut the landscaping, but you'll see it in the live play and certainly the cinematics. So then I'm just divoting up the ground here, trying to make it look like you know, some sort of ship crashed and then skidded along the ground a little bit and took out a big chunk of this mountain. And then just using rocks and stuff to make it look like it threw, you know, the earth up through gravel. It was a big force of impact. And here's our little UFO prop. I wish I had one that was a little more damaged. This one's a little too pristine white for me, but I think once we put in all the rubble and fire around it, you barely even notice. So it's not really that big of a deal. So I do have these, like, these are just campfire props that I'm just using a whole bunch of. You will notice in any of the cinematics of this crash site, the frame rate drops real low. That is because of all the fire. It's trying to do a lot of particle rendering, and it gets very angry. I probably overdid it with the fire a little bit, but I wanted to look like this crash really messed things up on this mountain. So that was kind of my plan. I didn't want this to be your run-of-the-mill spaceship crash. You know, I wanted a lot of damage and a lot of, you know, a lot of thrown grass and dirt and rocks and things like that. If you just notice the big skip right there, it's because I was trying to put down like wood piles, so piles of like thrown timber inside there, and it did not like that. The fire was getting laggy. So then around this, what we're gonna do is do a whole little like military operation. So in my head, they saw that crash, they heard it was reported that it was some sort of ship, so they brought all the boys out. So we have this nice little kind of like main field operation base right at the tip of it, and then around I put all these Humvees with these giant 50 cal turrets kind of aiming right through it, and you'll see me go ahead and put a bunch of lights in on that. If you, well, obviously you saw the stuff in the beginning, the lights really make it. I think having all those kind of floodlights all surrounding this crash site looking in, and you know, kind of builds that anticipation of like there's something in there and they're just waiting on the edge for it to come out. So just putting a bunch of military guys with their guns out, and a bunch of different guard props and things like that. And obviously we have like a little field tent and all of our you know, like little personnel carriers and things. And here's those Humvees with the big turrets on them. So these are kind of skirted around the perimeter of the crash site, and everybody's just kind of keeping an eye on what's going on inside. And then I will put these big construction lights going on through here too, and those are what's going to essentially be our floodlights. So as always, to finish out today's build, guys, we are going to go ahead and put down our decals and our lights just to kind of mess up the concrete and make sure everything's brightly lit and looking real good. So I'm going to let the music play out in just a second, but if you've been liking the build so far, definitely leave a like down below, and definitely subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I typically post like 3 to 4 times a week, and it's all cool builds like this. And stick around for the live play, because we're going to get some cool views of what we built here today. But I will let the music play out, and I'll see you on the other side. Hey guys, and welcome to the live play part of today's build. I hope you enjoyed the time lapse. So let's go through real quick what we built here today, and you can let me know how it turned out. So starting here, we have our little entryway into our military base here. So put these big restricted no trespassing signs, and we have the big old guard towers right here with a nice little some guards hanging out next to some Humvees with a little hangout area right here. So that's the entrance. And then I did, as you saw, do 2 sets of fences. So this one is just stretched out with guard posts going through it. And then as you come in more, you have the second guard post, and just coming into the main bit of the base itself. So right here we have a little residential area for people who stay on base, who live here long term. They have actual residences right here. So we have 5 of them just on this little block right here, whereas the temporary barracks are over here. So people who are just transferring in and out quickly, they stay in these. And we have all these tents going through, and just some like medical tents, hospitality tents up front. And this is, in my mind, like a command tent right here. And then this is the kind of main research center. So in my mind, with the story with the aliens and everything hitting San Pedro, this is not what it seems. There's a lot more going on under the surface of this. So in my head, there's an underground kind of base going on here, but this is the main little research facility right here. So I just used the distribution center office with some research buildings on the back. And then just to make it self-sufficient, I put a little power bank of solar panels right here. We of course have the big telescope dishes over here for research purposes and things like that. Who knows what they're doing with those telescopes? I don't, I just know they're there. And then our big fuel depot over here. So like I said, if it's an underground base, they probably are gonna need a lot of fuel and things, because that looks way too big for just what's going on right here. Anyway, last little detail on the base here, we do just have kind of like our little storage yard. So I just used a bunch of different props as far as like different Humvees and the trucks and things like that. And we have the helicopter landing pads in the back. And then I did get just some military specific, I guess, crates right here for, you know, them to use for shipping things in and out of, and just have a little loading dock area right here. So that's the base for the most part. So as we leave the base and we go this way, I'm actually going to turn the lights off, because I think this whole area is just much better to look at in the night, because we did do a lot of stuff with lights and things like that. So let's go ahead and turn it to nighttime, and we will follow the story of what's going on here. So as you come through here and you hit this bend, you see a big military presence with a big blocked off road right here. So you got all these guards and things right here as it leads up to this dirt path that goes up into the mountains. So we have this just a bunch of guards and police and things, and then we'll follow the road up a little bit and scroll back in, and as you come up through here, you kind of see the destruction and things going on. You can tell something's happening. There's a bunch of guards and lights and things going all the way around here, and then as you come and crest this, you can see our crash landing zone. So I'm really happy with how this one came out. I like having the big presence and having all these lights shining down like they're waiting to see what's about to pop out of this ship. And we got the big old crash zone where it took out a big chunk of the mountain. So we'll go ahead and put the light back on so we can see just the details in a little bit more. So I just took out, as you guys saw, took out a big chunk of land, put a bunch of little fire props and burnt out trees and stuff. I know we don't technically have pine trees, but they were the only burnt out trees I had right now, and I think they look fine. You can't really tell they're burnt out. And we got all of these little guard posts kind of circled around it, again, as if they're waiting to see what's going to come out of the ship, and a little impromptu kind of field operations base right here, and all these black SUVs. So maybe this is like the FBI or CIA or something. So that is the build, guys. I had a lot of fun with this. I think this was a cool little detail to add in San Pedro up here in the mountains by itself. So it's far away from everything, even kind of far away from the base. So we got that going on, but I think I had a lot of fun building this out. I wanted to try to do a little military base. I know it's not necessarily the most involved build, but I think we had some fun adding a little story to it with the alien crash and all that good stuff. And I think all the props and buildings came together really well. So let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know if you enjoyed the build. If you did, definitely leave a thumbs up. And as far as City Skyline stuff and more detailed builds, definitely check out my channel. I typically post like 3 to 4 times a week, and I think San Pedro's up to like 50 episodes now, so there's a ton of different builds to check out there, guys. And definitely subscribe if you enjoy what you see. That helps me out a lot. But what we're going to do now is we're going to jump into just some cinematic shots of today's build, and I will let those play for you. But I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and have a good one, and I'll see you in the next episode.